And yeah, people are talking about that as a paradigm, that we will have an autocomplete for everything, a helper in any task we might do. So I'll give you a quick look into how I made that deepfake, just to illustrate how easy it was. So I basically combined 4 readily accessible tools. I think you're missing a bit of the image here. So that was ChatGPT, and I entered the most simplistic prompt I could think of, which was, tell me something interesting to say about AI art, okay? And this is what it generated. I then trained an audio model on my voice. So I used a relatively small data set to fine-tune a model, 1,000 short clips, audio clips of my own voice, and I used that to train a model. I also went a little bit further than the one I showed you. I thought I'd create a fake Drew, and my prompt, though this was in Midjourney, was to generate a version of me sent from the future by our AI overlords, okay? And that's what it gave me. And then I put them together, and I used an interface called DID that can generate an avatar. So it's not quite a deep fake in the way we often think of it as swapping one identity as another. It's more about creating a version of me that anyone can control, which I think is far more scary. It's equivalent to the newsreader that we saw earlier, and I uploaded my voice to create this.
AI art harnesses the power of algorithms and thus training data to generate visually captivating and thought-provoking creation. By learning from diverse datasets, AI algorithms can mimic artistic styles, generate original compositions, and even collaborate with human artists.
We've heard from them before. Now, the reason I left that a little clunky, I could have left the model training longer and got that voice better. But actually there's a lesson in that I wanted to spend some time with and show you how artists explore this as well. The outputs of AI are very distinct to what we do as humans. The outputs of AI are probabilistic. Other forms of AI use symbolic reasoning, and as humans, we're more accustomed to symbolic reasoning, to causal reasoning, and as humans, we don't just use statistical processes, we use our intuition, or we use serendipity. We use creativity to generate outcomes. And what's really interesting is when we combine these different modes of knowledge, and in particular with AI, with generative AI, that generates hallucinations, that gets things wrong, what we get is outcomes that are what I call preternatural. They're beyond nature, and they're uncanny. So uncanny is a term that's often used with AI to represent that sense of being both familiar and not familiar at the same time. This is one of my favorite internet memes. Unfortunately, again, the captions have cut us off, so I have to say what that is. So this is an internet meme, so an image circulated online, and it said, "Me repeating everything ChatGPT says." Okay, and what it's trying to do is to illustrate this fact that yes, maybe ChatGPT can take our place, but it's going to be very strange and weird and uncanny if it does. We're going to look something like this, which is strange and weird and uncanny. And what I'd like to present to you is that artists explore and expose this uncanniness. I presented to you the work of Rafiq Anadol and suggested that we can consider that giving an image to machine hallucinations. Here we've got an artist who is really exposing the glitches, the transitions, the imperfections. And I'd like to spend a little bit of time with this artist and present this work to you, and present the making of this artwork. So this artwork is a work currently on display at the Victoria and Albert Museum in London. It's a work that we commissioned by an amazing artist called Jake Elwes. Jake created an artwork working with some human performers. He didn't scrape content from the public internet. He worked with a community of drag artists, artists who celebrate fluid gender identities, fluid sexual identities, and during lockdown, who were unable to convene because their meeting spaces, their performance spaces were closed due to COVID, and they'd lost a space to congregate. In this project, Jake gave them paid employment, a safe space to meet, and put them front and center. In a work where he trained a model, a generative adversarial model or a GAN, on 2 data sets. So still shots, so images from them performing, and then graphics of their skeleton mapping, their profile, and their facial features. And Jake used those 2 data sets to train an AI model. And alongside the artwork, Jake produces artifacts such as this. Jake's an artist. His job is not to educate people on AI, but it's one of his interests. He wants to expose, to generate discussion. So alongside the artwork, he gives talks and creates little explanatory artifacts like this, showing us how these 2 data sets were combined, so that by training the GAN on the skeleton tracking, he generates a realistic image of the original performers, and we can see the accuracy score, which tells us how when it's producing essentially deep fakes. And then in Jake's work, we see these performers, and Jake does a number of things. On the one hand, he's creating a new myth around AI, because he's presenting it, the AI performer, as if it were a drag act in its own right. But of course it's not. We know it's not. So he's creating that sort of anthropomorphized view of the drag artist, only to then deconstruct it by exposing the glitches, but also the technology behind it. And in the final work, the final piece is an amalgamation of all of the different drag artists, and you're able, as an audience member, to combine different musical styles with different performance styles. And I'm going to show you just about a minute of this work. So I need to wrap up, so just a minute to say about our future work, our current project. So we're working on a project now where we've developed an extension of our platform, and we've worked with a number of artists, and the brief we gave the artists was to explore the uncanny interplay of humans and machines. And again, this comes down to the essence of what we do. It's working with artists to understand what we might call synthetic culture, this emerging reality, the new real, where our reality, what we say and we do, is done in collaboration with machines, and where we need to understand its character.